Introduction. Hello, and welcome to Buddhist Motivation. In today's video, we'll explore the profound power of silence and how it can guide us to inner peace. The title of this story says it all: Unlock the Power of Silence, 4 Moments that Lead to Inner Peace. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a transformative tool that can help us navigate life's challenges with wisdom, patience, and understanding. Whether we are facing criticism, arguments, anger, or sadness, silence can be the key to unlocking a more peaceful and fulfilling life. I truly believe that silence is one of the most underrated tools for personal growth. In a world where we are constantly encouraged to speak, defend, and react, choosing silence can sometimes be the most powerful decision we make. It's in those quiet moments that we often find clarity and strength. So, I wholeheartedly agree with the message of today's story. It's about embracing the wisdom that comes with silence. Before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you could give this video a like and subscribe to Buddhist Motivation. Your support truly motivates me to create more meaningful content that can help us all grow together. 1. When you're criticized. There's a common reaction most of us have when faced with criticism: defensiveness. It's human nature to want to protect our ego. But what if we didn't respond immediately? What if we took a step back and listened instead? Silence in the face of criticism is not weakness, it's a powerful tool for self-reflection. Take a moment to think about it. When someone criticizes you, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Often, it's a desire to prove them wrong or to defend yourself. But if we react impulsively, we only feed the cycle of negativity. Imagine a scenario where you remain silent, listen to the criticism, and then reflect. This pause gives you a chance to process and understand if there's truth in the feedback, allowing you to grow rather than react. Consider this: a colleague of mine once criticized my project proposal harshly. Instead of arguing back, I chose to stay quiet and absorb their words. The more I listened, the clearer it became that some of their points were valid. If I had argued, I would have missed the opportunity to improve. Silence, in this case, wasn't about retreating but about gaining clarity and focusing on improvement. The ability to remain silent during criticism shows emotional maturity and the willingness to learn from others, no matter how difficult the process may seem. Buddhist story related to criticism. There is a famous story of the Buddha when a man approached him and began hurling insults. Buddha remained completely silent, not reacting to the man's words. After a while, the man, exhausted from his own words, stopped and asked Buddha why he didn't respond. Buddha explained, "If someone gives you a gift, and you don't accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "It belongs to the giver." Buddha then said, "Similarly, your words of insult belong to you, not to me. I have not accepted them." This story shows how silence can disarm negativity and protect our peace. 2. When someone argues with you. We've all been there, caught in the middle of a heated debate where everyone just wants to win. But what is really achieved by engaging in an argument? Does anyone truly win when the only thing that's accomplished is the furthering of egos? It's not the content of the argument that usually prevails, but the egos of those involved. Imagine you're in a debate with a friend or coworker over something trivial. Instead of jumping in with your own counterpoints, you simply stay silent. At first, it might feel awkward. But then, as the silence stretches, both sides begin to realize that the conversation isn't getting anywhere. The tension dissolves, and in some cases, the issue resolves itself without any further words being exchanged. When we step back and remain silent, we allow the situation to naturally calm down. We stop feeding the conflict, and the other party might realize that their argument is futile. Silence creates space for reflection and gives everyone involved a chance to reconsider their stance without being swept up in a constant back and forth. Instead of fighting, we allow wisdom to settle in. Silence, then, becomes a tool not for avoidance, but for fostering peace and understanding. Buddhist story related to arguments. The Buddha once shared a parable about a farmer and his neighbor who were arguing over land. When Buddha asked them whether they had brought the land with them when they were born, or if they would take it with them when they die, both men fell silent. The point was clear: arguing over something so fleeting was futile. Silence, in this case, offered clarity and helped them realize that their argument had no lasting value. 3. When someone is angry. Anger is like fire, it grows when you add fuel to it. In moments of anger, whether it's someone else's or your own, silence can be the best response. If we engage with anger, we're simply stoking the flames, making the situation worse. But if we choose to stay quiet, we disrupt the cycle of rage. Let's think about a time when someone lashed out at you. Your instinct might be to respond in kind, fighting fire with fire. But what happens if you just stay silent and don't react to their anger? That's what I did the other day when a close friend got upset with me over a misunderstanding. Instead of defending myself, I stayed quiet, letting them vent. Gradually, their anger subsided, and when they calmed down, they apologized. By not reacting, I allowed their anger to lose its momentum. Silence can be incredibly powerful in diffusing situations where emotions are running high. The next time someone's angry with you, remember, silence doesn't mean giving in. It means not adding to the fire. By choosing to stay calm and silent, you give the other person the space to process their emotions. Sometimes, doing nothing is the best way to manage a situation, especially when emotions are involved. Buddhist story related to anger. One famous story from Buddha's life involves a king who became enraged with a minister. In his fury, the king ordered the minister's execution. The minister, however, didn't argue back, choosing to remain silent. The next day, when the king had cooled down, he realized his rash decision and pardoned the minister. Had the minister responded in anger, it might have cost him his life. This story illustrates how silence can diffuse even the most intense situations. 4. When you're feeling sad. Sadness can be overwhelming. When you're feeling down, there's often an urge to share your pain, to seek comfort in others. But what if, instead of expressing every single thought and emotion, you practiced silence? What if you used that moment of quiet reflection to truly understand your feelings and find peace within yourself? Sadness often compels us to speak about our pain, but sometimes words can't do justice to the depth of our emotions. There are moments when silence is the only response that makes sense. Take a moment to imagine a time when you were heartbroken, feeling lost in your sadness. At that moment, you might not have had the words to express how you felt, but just sitting in the quiet, allowing yourself to process your emotions, could have been more helpful than talking to others about your pain. Silence, in this sense, isn't about shutting down or ignoring your emotions. It's about creating space to feel what you're feeling without the pressure to explain it. When we allow ourselves to sit with sadness in silence, we give ourselves the opportunity to heal without distractions. It's a form of self-compassion, where we give ourselves permission to just be, without any need to fix the pain with words. Sometimes, the best way to heal is to let ourselves feel the weight of sadness and let it pass in its own time, with silence as our guide. Buddhist story related to sadness. The Buddha once told a grieving woman who had lost her child to go and find a mustard seed from a family who had not experienced death. After searching for a long time and not finding any family untouched by sorrow, the woman realized that grief and sadness are universal. This story shows that in our sorrow, silence, and reflection are often the best ways to understand our pain and find healing. Conclusion. As we wrap up today's story, I hope you found inspiration in the power of silence. Remember, silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's a powerful tool for peace, reflection, and growth. By practicing silence in the right moments, we can transform our reactions and our lives. If you enjoyed this story and the lessons it shared, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Your engagement helps me continue creating content that brings value and peace to our lives. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, keep practicing silence and let it guide you toward inner peace. Stay tuned for more.